Thank you again for helping me with making sure my friends are all tucked away, safe and sound, until that awful storm goes away, Stardust. I glanced over my shoulder, shrugging indifferently. Again, it was my pleasure, Fluttershy. Before looking back and carefully placing the blanket over the tiny woodland creatures, all blinking up at me blankly. Looking after some animals wasn't as hard as I first suspected. It was almost as similar as taking care of my dog back home. Though still, I remain puzzled that you would ask me, of all ponies, to assist you. Oh, well, I heard the shy voice approach me. I thought it would be nice of me to return a favor after you helped me back at the mountain. I scoffed lightly. That was weeks ago, and my limb and ribs have been fully healed just a few days ago. Just in time. Afterwards, when the yellow Pegasus knocked on my door, nervously requesting for my help in securing her animals safely from the oncoming storm. I had nothing better to do anyway, aside from frustratingly trying to write something with a quill and a hand without fingers. Spike was away on some mission to Canterlot, and Twilight was still acting as though I didn't exist. Anyhow, so I thought, what the hell? You already returned it by saving my life, remember? Oh, yes, of course. I couldn't resist a small smirk as the shy Fluttershy flustered to my left. Oh, nicely done, Stardust. Shh. It's okay, little ones. You'll be safe here until the nasty storm passes. She soothed the various fragile animals while I took a step back to observe her do her magic. Such an admirable trait. Selflessly taking up every day of one's time just to take care of every woodland creature one comes across. My eyes could see nothing but animals all around the interior of her infested house, all cuddled up and cozy. How does Fluttershy put up with them? Especially in any rabidness or mating season. Hopefully, if I ever help her out like this again, I'll find out about neither. Are you sure you've never taken care of animals before? Fluttershy then turned to me curiously. I shrugged again. Well, I do have a pet dog back in my homeland. Well, more of a puppy, so... A gasp interrupted me. A puppy! I nodded in amusement. That's adorable. What's he like? Does he have a name? How old is he? What breed is he? He's a she. A troublemaker. Her name is Scout. She's about 2 years old and crossbreed. I answered in the same order she asked. She sounds wonderful. I would love to meet her sometime. Oh, it's starting. The yellow Pegasus pointed out to the window, and my eyes followed to see that, indeed, the first droplets of rain were falling, and my smile grew all the more. Well then, I began politely, already marching to the front door. It is always lovely helping you out, Fluttershy. What wasn't lovely was getting my hooves on these filthy animals. But I won't comment on that. But I'm afraid I must go back now. Of course. The smiling mare nodded to me, as that white bunny on top of her head waved at me in farewell. We should do this again sometime, she finished before quickly looking away, a red hue appearing across her features. Was she really that embarrassed to even ask such a thing? I look forward to it, I replied wholeheartedly. I mean, sure, I may act rather crass or blunt to the others sometimes, but I don't think even the most cold-hearted person can find it in them to behave rude against that Pegasus. Will you be all right on your way back Going through that storm? My dear, I welcome the storm. I nodded in farewell to Fluttershy and the woodland creatures before exiting the house, quickly closing the door before a draft enters. And as the growing wind caressed my face and rain pelted me, my smile grew into a grin. By God, how I've missed such weather. Many believe that England was known more for being the most cloudy and rainy country in all the world. The majority of the weather, nothing but storms and then snow for the winter. That was always a misconception. While it's true my country had quite a large part of raining going on, there was an equal time of sunny days alongside it. Yet I felt so closer to home as I walked through the stormy town, the grin never wiping from my face as harsh rain landed all over my head and cape, protecting the rest of my dry body. Though for longer as the, not for longer, as the dark blue fabric wasn't soak-proof. But that mattered little to me as I enjoyed my stroll while the town citizens were busy hiding themselves away from the beautiful weather. I love rain. I really do. I can't explain the details as to why I hold such fondness over this particular weather, and just enjoy it whenever it's like this. Many back home often acted ungrateful to the wonderful weather, forgetting that rain is part of what keeps us alive. No rain means no water, and a thunderstorm? Icing on the cake. And I have no one to complain to me about letting my hair become so soaked by the falling water. Ah, there was the library now. Better not keep the mistress waiting. Not that she apparently cared right now. But I won't allow Twilight's childish silent treatment to get the best of me. I will linger outside as long as I please until going into the house. Okay, good to go. The grin still plastered on my features as I returned into the house. The door opened widely for some reason. I immediately called out harmoniously upon waltzing in, "Honey, I'm home!" before proceeding to close the door. Have you seen the weather? Completely fantastic. What the hell? My amusement changed to bemusement at the sight before me. A certain white unicorn applying some green stuff onto Twilight's face, and an orange earth pony observing evident disbelief. Now wait just a gosh darn minute, Applejack spoke in a voice of annoyance. You make me wash the mud off my hose, but it's okay for you all to have mud all over your faces? Silly, Rarity chided her. This is called a mud mask. It's to refresh and rejuvenate your complexion. Before noticing me feet away. Ah, Stardust! I was wondering what took you so long. Rarity? Applejack? I nodded in greeting, still wondering what the hell they were doing here. Shaking the water out of my fur like you see a dog do. What can I say? These kind of opportunities don't last long. I shrugged at the disapproving gaze given to me by the white unicorn in turn. We're giving each other makeovers, Twilight then said, still blatantly ignoring my presence with a squealing noise. Since when did she care about good-looking appearances? We have to do it. It says so in the book. Slumber 101, Applejack read aloud, the floating book shown to her. Everything you need to. Oh. Hey, would you look at the time? I gotta skedaddle on home quick. I'm powerfully late good night! And the sound of a mighty thunder roared, causing the earth pony to halt from leaving, to my amusement. Or maybe I'll sit here for a spell. So they're having a slumber party, from my understanding. Sure, why not? Well, I then said, gaining their attention. As long as you all don't involve my room in your sleepover shenanigans, then I'm okay with this. Now, if you'll be excusing me, I'm off to enjoy the spectacle that is the storm from my room. Hooray! Slumber party! I heard the ecstatic Twilight say while I walked by. Seriously, a book on how to conduct a proper sleepover? I didn't need such a thing when I was a child. Stardust, dear, Reddy called out as I reached the first stair step, looking back in question. You don't have to feel left out, you know. Despite you being a boy, why not join in our little summer extravaganza? A tempting offer, I replied with amusement, as Applejack was blanching in disgust at the makeup Rarity was applying to her. But I'm afraid someone might oppose the idea of I joining in your lovely party. The white unicorn blinked. Why, who would object having a friend join in the fun? She asked in disbelief, while planting two cucumbers over the orange mare's eyes. In answer, I glanced at the purple unicorn mare who was avoiding my look, focusing instead on that ridiculous guidebook. Who indeed? Before continuing up the staircase to my room. If the storm was going to occur all night, then I won't be able to sleep. My sensitive ears will pick up on anything, plus the possible high laughter enjoyment the girls would be having downstairs wouldn't help me get any beauty sleep either, implying I have ever had such a thing as beauty sleep. Oh, ho, ho, ho. This is just grand. Never have I borne or witnessed just such a sight. This thunderstorm has got to be the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed since arriving in Equestria. The lights were off, and I was just sitting here on the floor in the middle of the room enjoying the show. So far, no screams or loud laughter from downstairs, which is good, so it provides no distractions for me. But I think my tail is wagging side to side, clearly expressing my joy in the thunderstorm. Obviously, the lightning rod has been placed on top of the house, otherwise I would get the unpleasant smell of fire. The rain and wind was getting all the more harsher, as multiple leaves landed straight on the glass, while I was observing from, oh, what do you know? Screaming. I sighed in disdain before instantly getting on my feet and running out of the room, heading straight to where the three mares were. It might be false alarm, but it doesn't hurt to check. What happened? I asked, sternly upon entering the room, quickly looking around. No sign of struggle or anything dangerous, despite Applejack and Rarity holding on to each other tightly for some reason, then letting go upon realizing their positions. I heard screaming, is everyone alright? Ghost story? Check! Oh. I frowned in annoyance before proceeding to return up the stairs, back to where the real excitement was before a classy voice called out, Oh wait, Stardust! It was sweet of you to check on us like that. Perhaps you also know a ghost story or two. I threw the unicorn a stare. It was kind of what she's trying to do, but wasn't it already made clear someone didn't want me around? I was about to voice as much before Applejack added, Yeah, maybe you know a good story that'll really spook somebody out. Very, very tempting. I do know some stories, I answered slowly, but I'm afraid they would all make sure you'll never sleep peacefully again. My own kind is capable of stomaching many of these horrors, but I'm not too sure about ponies being able to do the same. Oh, so you're saying you know some tales scarier than Twilight's Headless Horseman story? Rarity inquired. I immediately scoffed at the title of what the purple mare apparently told them. Headless Horseman? Child's play. I have more terrifying stories that I've not merely heard, but witnessed to. Oh? And she speaks to me at last. Twilight finally turned from the book and raised a brow at me. I highly doubt that. My frown deepened. You'd be surprised, my dear. Surprise me, then. Ah, to hell with it. The thunderstorm wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, from what I gathered. Very well, I replied, smoothly, to the evident challenge. But don't come crying to me when this tale haunts you at night for the rest of eternity. And as the other two ponies sat down comfortably, a hesitant Twilight joining in, I walked towards the tree and took a seat of my own, craning my foot to tell the tale of the stallion in the woods. Then you place one marshmallow on top of the chocolate, make sure it's centered, that's critical, then carefully put another perfectly squared cracker on the top, and done! Ta-da! Rarity concluded her instruction on creating a perfect s'more from a few feet away, while my gaze remained fixed on the outside storm. Ooh! Was the intelligent Twilight really looking at a s'more and all? I released a small snort at the melodramatic attitude the unicorn had been showing tonight. Well, I was impressed with the three. They handled that ponified version of the tales of Slenderman rather well. They even voiced as such when they weren't cowering underneath a table or something. But I did get some satisfaction to the two guests, admitting my tale was much more frightening in thought than the headless horseman. Twilight even reluctantly agreed the prospect of a faceless stallion wandering the everfree forest at night sounded more terrifying, but expressed annoying yet also understandable doubt that I've seen such a horror with my own eyes. And to Twilight's further reluctance, Rarity insisted I stick around for their s'more making, even when I kept declining the repeated offer politely. But in the end, I gave in simply just to get this over with. And during this time, I've noticed some hostility between the white unicorn and the orange earth pony. What was the source behind this sudden dislike of one another? Honestly, I could care less. Might almost consider it as bad as the hostility Twilight has been showing off to me these last few weeks. Seriously, what did I do to make her act so cold towards me? Surely that petty argument we had back at the hospital wasn't the cause. Now you just eat them. Ah, a proper guide to eating s'mores by Applejack. I smirked while imagining from the munching sound they have probably just devoured the treat like any other person would. To Rarity's disgust. And to top it off, a loud burp. 5 stars to Applejack. Ugh, you could at least say excuse me. Oh, I was just about to, but then you interrupted me. Pardon? You know, with the roaring storm outside and some animosity behind me right now, I'm just glad to be here. Right now, anyway. I wonder how my family's doing anyway. I must have been gone for over a month now. They must be worried sick about me. My little sister must be continuously crying her eyes out, praying for the return of her eldest brother. Damn it, I need to get back home soon. S'mores, check! Then her Twilight lists off that activity. Now the next item of fun we have to do is Truth or Dare. My ears then perked instantly at the sound of that rather fun game. Looking at the two guests, Truth or Dare? Oh, this should be good. I dare Applejack to do something carefully and neatly for a change. Oh, yeah? Oh, here we go. Well, I dare Rarity to lighten up and stop obsessing over every last little detail for a change. Uh-huh. I think the truth of the matter is that some pony could stand to pay a little more attention to detail. Where's my popcorn? And I think the truth is somebody ought to quit with their fussing so that some of us can get things done. I don't think this is how the game's supposed to work. I scoffed loudly at Twilight's words. You're right, but this also provides some entertainment. By all means, ladies, continue arguing. No, wait! From the corner of my eye, the purple unicorn started speaking out loud the words in that ludicrous book of hers. You have to give an honest answer to any question or do what any pony dares you to do. Oh? I cast her a look. Well, since she wants to play by the rules. All right then, Twilight. Why don't you be truthful with me then? What's the reason behind your childish attitude with me these past few weeks? In answer, she raised a disbelieving eyebrow. Childish? I was never being childish. Oh? No? I quickly cut Twilight off, my glare matching her own. The silent treatment, the lack of acknowledging my own presence ever since I returned from the hospital, pretending I wasn't here by focusing on your books and studies. Now Stardust, Twilight, I'm not sure if this is the right time for whatever it is you two are going through. Reddy volunteered to be the voice of reason. But our attention was completely focused on one another. Twilight then spoke as if the other unicorn said nothing. I have my reasons. Then enlighten me. Well, I. My glare hardened as she quickly looked away, obviously trying to conjure up an excuse. You disobeyed me by following us to that mountain. I raised a brow. Disobeyed you? First off, my dear, you never ordered me to stick around in the library. And secondly, who are you to believe you can order me around? You have no idea why you've been ignoring me lately. Is that it? I guessed. And that suspicion appeared to be true after a moment's pause. Then Twilight answered, sounding more calmer than earlier. This isn't really the time. Quite the contrary, I can think of no finer time to discuss this. It's complicated. Another scoff escaped me. Complicated enough to make me feel like an outcast? More than I already was. I see. Perhaps I was being a bit too unfair here. No, that's not what I. The unicorn rubbed her forehead irritably, and I managed to catch the soft words of, Why are you so infuriating? That does it. All bets are off. Why am I so frustrating? My voice raised higher with every word, and from the side of the other two ponies took a few steps back. I almost forgot they were even there. I've done absolutely nothing wrong. You're the one who has been acting so irritating lately, blatantly feigning acknowledgement of my presence. Was it something I said? Was it something I did apart from disobeying you? Tell me. All right, I will, Twilight finally snapped at me, and I raised a brow at the heated tone. Ever since Princess Celestia asked me to give you food and shelter into my library, you've been nothing but a puzzle to me. A puzzle I've been trying to figure out. Without much success, I might add. You knew about Nightmare's Moon's return, and you knew what the sixth element of harmony was. You know how that stampede Applejack prevented happened. You somehow knew it was Trixie who was visiting Ponyville. I never claimed to know about Moon's return. And even when I think I've got you figured out, you pull some stupid stunts. Some that almost got you killed. Never mind the fact that it takes a lot of my magic to even concentrate it on you. Not just me, but the unicorns at the hospital as well. And I can't figure out why. You happily flew yourself into danger without any clear sense of reason. You were all in danger. I acted accordingly. You managed to fight off an Ursa Minor and a dragon with just your bare hoofs. And then back at the hospital, you tell me you have no concern for your own being whatsoever? You dismissed mine and the girl's worries as though they mattered little to you. I don't even see why you bother. Finally, imagine my surprise upon learning that Spike is obviously hiding something. Something I have a feeling he knows about you that I don't. You are such a frustrating pony to deal with. So reckless, and negative, and thoughtless of your own life. I took that moment while she was pausing for breath to process her words fully. Before my teeth ground together and I glared angrily at her. My hooves walking on their own accord as we approached one another face to face. So let me get this straight, I began in a harsh whisper. You're throwing your own anger out on me simply because you are dooming your own curiosity? Is that it? Maybe if Twilight minded her own business, none of this would be happening. As she said nothing, purple eyes staring right back at me instead, telling me all I needed to know. I finally sighed in irritation before being the first to turn away. You're a fool, Twilight, I remarked. This argument was beneath me. If anyone needs me, I'll be in my room. I'm done here anyhow. Stardust! I heard a weak voice behind say as I moved towards the way back to my temporary room, hitting my feet for just a moment. I'm sorry. You. Don't bother, Twilight, I cursed, a trace of defeat in my own tone. You're completely right about me. Everything you said was spot on. I'm sorry for being an inconvenience to your slumber party. To be honest, I'm a mystery, even to myself. This conversation was over. I returned to the staircase, not even glancing at Rarity and Applejack, both who were simply staring at us, stunned at the heated argument. At least now with me gone, they can continue their own little petty argument. But my hoofs clenched while I walked upwards as I heard Applejack not so quietly whisper to the white unicorn, I think we've watched something way too personal. You know, at first I was enjoying the extraordinary show outside that was the first and biggest thunderstorm I've seen since I've been trapped in this world. But now I only feel the raging weather was the perfect reflection of my current mood. As I heard lightning roar and felt the white light illumining my face for a brief second, while I paced back and forth in my frustration. That damn mare! That she would have the gall to. And here I believed only Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie would be the sources of my irritation while I was in Ponyville. But no! Somehow that stubborn purple unicorn, my favorite pony, period, in fact, somehow managed to get on my nerves just as much. How? How has this even happened? Twilight Sparkle somehow managed to become a pain in the arse for me. Just goes to show even the most intelligent ones can act like the dumbest people in existence. God, how I could use some Coca-Cola right about now. That'd get rid of this growing headache. Yet somewhere amidst that anger and disbelief, how the purple unicorn believed she can just look into these matters and expect promising results. I knew Twilight was right about a few things. I was aware that villainous mare was going to return. I was aware that what the sixth element of harmony was. Speaking of which, I haven't seen those powerful objects for a while now. They predicted Trixie's visit to Ponyville very accurately. I should have been more careful. There weren't any anticipation that Twilight, the most studious, thoughtful mare in all of Equestria, would note these little details like that. She's a lot more clever than I expected of her. Which was quite a lot, but some things said during her little uncharacteristic tirade were also details I have been pondering about. I stopped my pacing and lifted my front right hoof, inspecting the clear gold darkened by the night. Just how was I able to hold back that Ursa Minor, the dragon in the mountain? I've never worked out. Okay, not true. I do some exercise here and there, but not enough that make me capable of almost defeating some titanic beast. It makes sense how Twilight would try to also find out more about this sudden boost of strength. And what was all that too hard to concentrate magic on me about? A memory back to when Twilight fixed my teeth, and straight after the mare looked a little exhausted, passing it off as exerting too much magic among other things that day on her part. Was she implying that a little magic wouldn't work on me or something? Or was that just a simple fabrication? Another excuse for more ammunition to the fire at me during our argument. Well, whatever the reason, that's the third quarrel we've had against each other ever since the whole Griffin incident. And some gut feeling of mine says it won't be the last. Jesus, even other female species, apart from humans, can be so complicated to deal with. Perhaps it'd be best if I stayed out of the house for a while. Let things boil down a little. My body immediately jumped as the ground around me shook. Following a loud rumble that sounded like its origins weren't far off. Checking downstairs was the waste. They weren't even there. So I immediately looked for the second place they'd be, which would be titled Twilight's bedroom. Finding the door already open as I rushed towards it, feeling the harsh drafts of the outside storm. Gotta check, gotta check, gotta check. Twilight! My mouth almost yelled her name on its own accord, as I halted in place at the sight of the giant arched tree covering up part of the room, various branches and leaves being blown in. Rarity and Applejack seemed to be fine, one trying to find some warmth by hiding under a book, while the other was looking a bit in shame. The tree that had evidently fallen through the window appeared to be covering not just some of the shelves and wooden floor, but where Twilight's bed, I presumed to be, was. Oh God! Twilight! I immediately called out, a sense of panic and dread rising sickly in my stomach. No, 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 no! My hooves headed to the tree itself, and I had the urge to just rip apart this damn now lifeless big plant, piece by piece, just to make sure Twilight was all right. Stardust? I'm right here. My head snapped, looking instantly at the purple unicorn, whose head was sticking out of the leaves, looking at me in confusion. Well, that was pointless of me. Regardless, I sighed in relief before saying in annoyance, "Thank God! Don't worry like me like that, Jesus!" Twilight's next words then caused me to realize exactly what I was even saying to her. You're worried? But any common sense right now was substituted by irritation. Of course I was. Why wouldn't I be? Ah, Christ. She was looking at me with an obvious mixture of relief, incredulity, confusion, and what should only be feeling right now, gratitude. I forcibly swallowed my nervousness, but that didn't help the matter. How needlessly awkward this moment was getting. I hate to interrupt such a romantic moment. We have a real crisis that needs to be dealt with first. That snapped me out of the ridiculous stupor I was in. Now I can just glare at the white unicorn in disdain for implying I would ever engage in any kind of romance with a pony. I'm mighty sorry, Twilight, Applejack then stated, as though it was her fault the tree had fallen into the library in the first. Wait a minute. No, no, I shouldn't be surprised. I sighed in exasperation. It probably must have been an attempt on her part to show off. Well, that's. No, it's not okay. The rather weak outburst incited me and the orange earth pony to look at Twilight in question. There's a giant tree branch in the middle of my bedroom, and the book doesn't say anything about having a tree branch in your slumber party. Again with the stupid guidebook. Oh, hold up. This was just a tree branch? Well, if it's just a tree branch, I pointed out, then we should have no problem getting rid of it. At least, Twilight continued as though I said nothing, inciting a justifiable eye roll from yours truly. I haven't found that entry yet. And while Applejack was clearly off to have another go at Rarity, I walked towards the purple unicorn and said calmly, as someone must use their head with a situation like this, Twilight, you can just use your magic to get the tree branch out, yes? Give me a moment, I just need to check the list, the unicorn replied in worry, still looking through that dumb book as though it will provide answers. Looking. I sighed in irritation. If this doesn't get dealt with soon. And actually, I think the only problem with this is just Twilight and the girls having to sleep elsewhere. We could just get the tree branch in the morning after the storm is over. Stardust, help me out over here! I heard Applejack call out, and I had walked forward and leaned over the branches to see her pointlessly attempting to get the branch out of her own way. Use those muscles of yours. Muscles? What muscles? Ah, I'll see what I can do, I replied, before walking over to the many piles of leaves and twigs, wincing at the filth I was walking on before arriving at the front. Well, I could grab the end of the whole branch and pull, shoving the entire thing out a small window. Just how did it all fit in, anyhow? Rarity for pony's sake, the earth pony called out, as a quiet unicorn as I set to work. My host found one end of the unrealistically giant branch and held on. And heave! Heave! Ho! Heave, for God's sake! Heave! Oh, what? What? Why isn't it working? Where's that strength? Where's that strength I had when I fought those beasts? Now I was trying to pull with all of my might, albeit to no success. What the hell? Stardust, stop messing around! My eyes instantly shot a glare at the ordering Applejack. It's not as simple as it looks, I argued back before returning my gaze to the pile of leaves my arms were stuck into. Come on, why wasn't it working? Look, Rarity, I'm sorry, alright? What was that? No. No. I said I'm sorry, in the midst of my frustration. I overheard the two ponies talk. I should have listened when you noticed this here tree branch would end up. So this was Applejack's fault. Again, no big surprise. But what was surprising was the fact that they're doing this right now. Your annoying attention to detail would have saved us from this whole mess. But right now you need to stop being so dead fussy picking up all these little things and help us pick up that big one thing that really matters. Please. Oh, come on. Are you all for real? But I'll get all icky. Rarity, for God's sake, I couldn't restrain my frustration any longer. My own anger at my apparent inability to move this branch being thrown in all directions. I finally let go from my obviously futile attempts and stared at the shocked pair, taking a deep breath to calm my boiling nerves before continuing. Please, just help us out here. You are capable. I know you are. You can wash yourself up later. Assist us with this little crisis, and I'll bake you all brownies for breakfast if that's what it takes. What he meant to say was, ickiness is a side effect of hard work. Applejack then ended. No, it didn't. But you all need to get over it. On all accounts, I know me and Stardust can't handle this all by ourselves. We need your help. Since they're doing this, I suppose there couldn't be a worse time now than to throw out my share of sentimental garbage. Twilight, I called out, despite her not being in my current line of sight, and ignoring the other two mares looking at me in question. But I imagine she heard me anyway. I'm sorry for earlier. We're causing that unnecessary argument a few hours ago and back at the hospital. I had no intention of causing you irritation or grief, and I never wanted to make it seem as though you and the others' worries over me meant nothing to me. I wish I could be really truthful with you. I really do, but my eyes cast down for a second as my mind reeled on what to continue. That Churl fought with. I'm just sorry, okay? I'll leave this house if I'm such an inconvenience to you. As my sappy speech, which I'm rather ashamed of myself to even use, concluded, I then jumped in shock and blinked as the large branch suddenly transformed before my very eyes. Tiny resemblances of trees taking its place. With a full vision of sight, it was revealed that Rarity was the cause behind it, gently placing the small pieces down with her own magic. And behind, I felt the wind finally cease in the assaulting room. As obviously Applejack closed it. Hang on. The tree branch didn't smash through the window, which would explain how that wasn't any broken grass anywhere. How did the tree branch get through? Ugh. How I look awful, Rarity then announced. And I shook my head at the sight. I'll save such questions for later. Right now, I think we all deserve a rest after solving this catastrophe. I sighed tiredly. Well, this was a rather hectic night. On the plus side, it was rather eventful. Stardust! Oh, Christ, I almost forgot. Slowly, my eyes turned to the purple unicorn, walking towards me, staring at me with an expression I couldn't decipher. which could mean just about anything because I wasn't an expert on reading one's face. Yes, Twilight, I cut myself off at the stunned embrace the unicorn proceeded to give me, and my body stiffened at the touch. What? What was she? She released before I could recover to return the hug, smiling at me warmly for the first time in a while, and just seeing it caused something inside me to burn, in a good way. I'm sorry, too, for taking out my anger on you, for sticking my nose in where it didn't belong. No. Now, hang on, my dear. It was my fault for acting so impulsive and causing you to worry and be curious about me from the start, I reminded her gently, rubbing the back of my neck for no clear reason. Still, I shouldn't have tried to find out more about you without asking first. I don't blame your inquisitive nature. I would have done the same. It was my own frustration that made me yell at you like that. I lost my composure, throwing needless irritation at you for no reason. You have no reason to apologize to me. Neither do you. Both her heads turned to the snickering two ponies observing from afar. But from their clear entertainment and smirks, I immediately identified what was going on in their filthy minds, which incited my disapproving glare. That just made Applejack's expression smugger. I swear to God they need a good scolding. Oh, these are pretty. Did you make these, Rarity? The hasty tone had me glance at the flushing purple unicorn. Look at the small work of art the white mare made. End of part 1.